How you doing, guys? Mario from MF Fly Tying. Finally breaking the weather, so we're up at Harelaw and get the buzzers on. So hopefully we'll get ourselves into some of these fish that we've been looking to get for a few weeks now. So let's see how we get on. We've got a grey boy on the top drop, point. Got a crisp packet buzzer on the middle dropper, and the top dropper fishing an olive buzzer, red cheeks, which is one of my favourites up here. Full floater. We've got probably about 10-12 mile an hour winds. The sun is up, so hopefully that doesn't put the fish off. This boat, I've got a boat to the left of me, so just out myself today. Boat in front of me is just had a fish. Looked like it was on the hang, hopefully on the buzzers. We've got a few seagulls that are out in front of me as well. Usually a good sign. There's maybe a bit of a hatch at the moment, so the grey boy buzzer on the point is a size 10. It's on a straight hook. Quite a big body. I tied it last night just to try it out, and that's really just to stabilise the cast, get the flies down a little bit, and just hold them at that 90-degree angle, as static as possible. Pulling down two size 12 buzzers that I've got on, and literally casting it out 2 or 3 pulls just to straighten the line, and just don't move the line at all. Just really slow, figure 8, just keep in touch with the flies and just waiting for the line to tighten up. Sometimes it can be pretty ferocious, which is what we want. Other times you'll just see the tip of your line just changing directions or twitching, and that's usually a sign that the fish is taking it. Always remember to hang your flies. I'm not casting particularly far, I'm only casting maybe 15-20 yards, so always keeping in contact with the flies at all times, which is really important, but equally not to be gentle with your hands as well, because with buzzer takes, if you do get them and the fish are on the buzzers and they're hard on the buzzers, sometimes what happens is the take can be so ferocious that if you're too tight with your hands, then you will get slapped, and that was a take there. Just felt a wee bump. That was the take, folks. Just a gentle wee bump. There we go. There we go. Just pays always just to hang your flies right at the boat, right in the end. And that is the first fish of the day. Excellent. Top lip. And that's on the point fly. Grey boy. There you go. First fish. Not been fishing more than 5 or 10 minutes, really. Shows you that fish, I did feel it. I thought it hadn't, I didn't think it had actually taken it. But it was on, it must have just been sat there with the flies in its mouth. And just as I brought them up through the water column, I just felt it going tight. And that's sometimes when you get the takes, is not necessarily when they're fishing static, but just coming up through the water columns. You're pulling them up past the fish and then they'll come up and they'll have a go. It can be really exciting fishing as well, but I see a lot of people when they are fishing, it doesn't matter whether it's buzzers or they're pulling or twiddling, they don't hang their flies. And I don't know how many times that you're out for a day's fishing and you hang your flies all day, and the one time you don't hang your flies, fish comes up and has a go. Always demonstrating. So I haven't been to Harelaw. Harelaw's just outside Glasgow, Neilson, about 10 miles south of Glasgow. Just sits outside the town of Neilson. It's ran by a guy called Ross Murdoch, who's one of the Harelaw fly fishers team members. Ross has had the place for I think about 5 or 6 years, and it's won leaps and bounds every year. He really has got a great fishery. He's also got a tackle shop as well, mostly for fly tying rather than actually equipment there, but if you are struggling for nets or drogues or anything like that, Ross will sort you out. He does have them available to rent. So we've just got a boat to my left hand side. I don't know if you can see that in the picture, but I'll probably just reverse down behind that boat. Get a bit of clear water. Fish this one. So, one fish so far. Important if you can when you're out in the boat is to try and get clear water in front of you. The reason for that, obviously a lot of traffic over the fish. Sometimes put them down or push them out. Stop there. Might actually be a day for the dries. I've seen a few fish up. So good signs of the high in the water. So again, just 15-20 yards, keeping in touch with the flies all the time, letting those flies just sink down without moving them at all. Just keeping an eye on tip of your line. Making sure that we hang inside the boat. Ideally when you're fishing your buzzers, I tend not to cast straight down the line of the boat. I generally try and cast to 45 degrees or a little bit less to the left of me or the right of me, depending on what side of the boat that I'm on. Also helps that you don't get so many break-offs. There's a fish there. Again, if you're seeing fish and they're up and they're feeding, get your flies across the fish. If you can get your flies into the zone of that fish that's broken the surface, there's a good chance that you might see your flies and have a go. So don't ignore fish that are rising. And that's me at the point where I'm going to hang the flies, and you're just bringing those flies up right underneath the rod tip, just holding them, bringing them up slowly until you get your first dropper out of the water. Other than that one, what a fish that's there's fish up just now. Quite a lot of buzzers that have hatched as well, which is great. Conditions at Harelaw today are fantastic, so we should get some more fish. Now those flies are probably fishing at depth now, so just one long pull, just bring the flies up through the water column and just let them settle again, just keeping in touch with them, not moving them, just keeping in touch with the speed of the boat. Bring them up onto the hang. and it pays just to leave them there just coming up, just whip them out. Total length of my my cast is about 10 or 11 feet. Not long. So 4 feet to my first fly, 3 feet to my second, and then another 3 feet to the point fly. It's not a deep water at Harelaw. The deepest part of the water's probably 10 or 11 feet, maybe 13 feet. In one part of it, but generally speaking we're only in 6 to 8 feet of water in open water, and shelves up to about 4 to 6 feet along the drifts along the banks, and then it shallows up to water that you just can't even get the boat into, so there's no need for long leaders. Straighten everything out. Flies up through the water column. Yeah, when you hang your flies, your rod tip's high. You want to remember keep your hands soft. Let the rod, when you feel the fish, let the rod do the work. There's no need to be striking really hard. Oh. And there we go, snapped. So not concentrating there, just broke me at my top dropper. So likely taking either the point, well it must have taken the point, or the middle dropper, but it was a slam and take, so it does happen. But that's one of the fish, unfortunately. Right, we'll get tied up and be back on. Right, it didn't take too long, 5 minutes. It did. New cast set up, same flies, grey boy on the point, this packet buzzer in the middle, grey boy's a size 10. The crisp packet's a size 12, and an olive flexi floss buzzer, size 12, the top dropper. Typical, talking about getting snapped and making sure you're not too tight in your hands. End up getting snapped. It looks as if it's going to start pouring, so hopefully not, because if it does, then we're going to get soaked, but hopefully it doesn't put the fish off, so it's looking very good. Size 10 grey boy is just allowing those fish, those flies to reach the depth that we want to be fishing at quickly. It's also allowing your buzzer to be fishing straight down. We do have a wee bit of a wind, hopefully it's not causing too much disruption to the video quality. With that wind and a floating line, you really need to try and dig your flies in through that wave, so they do get down to depth. Cool. With buzzer fishing, you just want to slow everything down. Right, in true YouTube fashion, just had another fish on the grey boy on the point. Unfortunately the battery in the camera had decided to run out, so I've just changed the battery. Set it back up again. I did get a picture of it on my phone. Really good take as well, lovely fish. Typical Harelaw, 2.5 pound, full tail, cracking fish. No false casting involved, really just one false cast, enough to get the line out, not the line that I want to be fishing anyway, just to keep in control of the flies, keep in contact with them. No need to be casting your full line, not necessary fishing buzzers. Cool. Fish those flies all the way up to the side of the boat, almost under the boat. Lift them up through the water column. One of the biggest mistakes that I see on Harelaw is leader length. If you're straight lining buzzers, which we're doing today, is because it is such a shallow water, there's no need to be fishing a 15, 18, 20 foot leader for flies, because ultimately you're going to be sacrificing at least 1 or 2, if not 3 of the flies at that sort of leader length. Once you kind of get beyond kind of 10 or 12 feet, really 12 feet is probably too much as well for straight line buzzer fishing at Harelaw. your point fly isn't working. It's getting dragged through the silt and the weeds, and it isn't fishing for you. So you want to try and keep your flies in that feeding zone. And when you're fishing straight line buzzers, what you'll find is first two fish that we've had today have both been on the grey boy on the point, which is probably fishing at 9 or 10 feet at its maximum. So that would tell me that the fish they're not in the upper layers, or at least the taking fish are not up in the upper layers. They're down kind of 2/3 of the way down in the water column. Now, if we start getting fish on our top dropper, which is only fishing at around 3.5 to 4 feet, or a middle dropper which is 5 to 6 feet, that tells me that the fish are higher up in the water column, and that would then indicate to me, or make me think, whether or not I wanted to be straight line buzzer fishing, or if I potentially wanted to put on a fab or a blob or a booby. Probably a fab or a booby, just to fish the washing line and keep those flies in that kind of 3 to 6 feet of water range, where the booby's holding up your flies, and your buzzers are in that zone of where the fish want to be feeding. So when you are fishing, it isn't a case of just throwing your flies out there and hoping for the best. You want to be thinking about your leader setup. Distance between your flies is important, but equally it's the length of your leader as well, whether you're fishing a floating line, a tip line, what the weather conditions are like. Fundamentally is what flies at what depths are fishing, especially with straight line buzzers. Now, if I was fishing somewhere like Gratham or Rutland in deeper water, and all the fish were coming to my point and fly, potentially lengthen my leader, maybe put on another dropper and extending it, just so that my flies, instead of maybe fishing at 14 feet, we're fishing at 16 or 18 feet to my bottom dropper. That means potentially I've got two flies that are actually fishing at depth, rather than just the one fly at say 14 feet, which is taking all the fish. By just adding on another 3 or 4 feet of leader to your cast, and allowing those flies just to go from 14 to 16 or 18 feet of depth, you've never got two flies that potentially are in the feeding zone. And that's a really good way of increasing your catch rates. So the next time you are out fishing and you're straight lining, do think about what flies are catching at what depths, and see if you can get more of your flies to be fishing at within those depths as possible. Now, ideally, if you've got a 4 fly setup on the washing line, you've got your booby or your fab that's holding the flies up, and then you've got 2 or 3 nymphs or buzzers that are fishing in that water column that the fish are taking, and just that slight change can vastly improve your catch returns. Just going up between the two islands at Harelaw, so we're kind of coming out of the kind of deeper water, and this shallows up out of kind of 8 to 10 feet into 6 feet of water. It can fish very, very well. There's a big buzzer bed that's in front of me here. If the fish are there, if the buzzers are on, we should get a few fish. Because we're fishing in shallower water, again, one of the reasons for maybe fishing slightly shorter length of fly line, not casting so far, is the longer you cast, the more time your flies have got to get to depth. So not only do you potentially lose control, but you're potentially allowing your flies to fish too deep as well. So this is where I would maybe think about changing the point fly and putting on a booby, just to keep those flies fishing at the right depth without sacrificing the point fly into the weeds. We'll see how we get on here. See if we take it. I've got a feeling that the fish might still be in the buzzer bed in open water, but we'll give this a go just since we're down this way. If you're watching, guys, what's your preference? Fish taking the buzzers, slamming take, ripping it out your hand, or a fish over the top of your dries? I can't decide. I've asked the question before on Facebook, and I think it was probably 50-50. I think most people that fish buzzers and dries will tell you they're both equally as good, but for some people, fishing buzzers and that rod ripping take that you can get when they're hard on the buzzers it's hard to beat. The anticipation of just waiting for that fish just to pull is something I just can't get away from. It's absolutely superb. We're not getting enough of them just now, so hopefully we can get a few more fish for the camera. Just seen one of the Harelaw boys on the bank, Daryl, our Daz. He's in the bank. I just put the camera off just to shout over to him, give him a call, see if fancied coming out in the boat. These are a couple of fish. It was Daryl earlier on this week that put a picture up of some buzzers that he had pumped from one of the fish, and it was grey boys that were in the fish. Hence the reason why I thought I'd fish one today. It seems to be working, but he's not wanting to join us. You know, it looks perfect for dries as well up here, so we'll maybe give the dries a wee shot in an hour or so. See if we see a few more fish coming up. It's a great venue for anyone that wants to fish dry flies. There's probably not a better water in the central belt of Scotland that offers better dry fly fishing than Harelaw. Fishing a 7 weight today, so wouldn't generally fish my dries with a 7 weight, fishing with a 5 weight. Just a wee bit softer, good fun as well, which is why we're here. No, not really feeling that there's not seen any fish down here, whereas we're seeing some fish in open water, so I'll probably give this another 10 or 15 yards. See if anything happens. If not, we'll get the drogue in, we'll head back up in front of the cafe where we got a few pools earlier on. See if we can get back into where they fish were. There's a few seagulls in the water as well, which is a good sign where there's potentially a buzzer hatch as well. The seagulls up in Harelaw are a good sign where, especially in the summer months when it is hot, we get the curly bums, buzzers. And the seagulls will show you where the fish are, and any time in the evenings if you go and find the seagulls and they're down the water feeding, there will be trout there as well, also feeding on the midge pupa and the adult midge as well. Shipman buzzer, a white one, believe it or not, is my go-to fly when the fish are high in the water in the evenings. Fish that in between two culdies. For whatever reason in the evenings, the white shipmans is, don't know if it represents a white shuck in the water, probably does, but that outfishes any of the other colours, specifically in the evening on Harelaw for myself, so there's potentially a wee trade secret. I think we'll go back up. Get back into deeper water. Still a wee bit cold, it's only 10 or 11 degrees just now, so potentially fish still sitting deep. Right, we just motored over to where the seagulls have been feeding. Not seen any fish, but seagulls definitely picking up some buzzers that have hatched, so I'm expecting that we should find some fish about this area. So the depth of water that we're in just now is about 8 feet. In another 10 yards or so we'll start to drop into 10 to 11 feet of water, which is perfect for this setup that we've got. Got a few bank anglers as well. on the water, which is a good sign. Not seeing any fish up. Doesn't mean to say that they're not there. Does help with the confidence right enough if you see fish up. You know, at least you've got a target to cast to. But when you don't see them, it doesn't mean to say that they're not there. Harelaw is full of fish as well, so there's no shortage of fish. Ross is stocking every second week, around 400 or 500 fish, which is plenty for a water of this size. Not the easiest place in the world, you know, so you can have your good days, the boats will come in with 30 fish, but a good day in Harelaw is a dozen fish for your day. In my opinion, that's a pretty good day. Buzzards used to be my nemesis. I've only been fishing up at Harelaw for the last 3 or 4 years, but when I first started I never ever fished buzzards. I hadn't really fished buzzards previously. Didn't really have a huge amount of success on them, but when you learn to fish them, it's great fun. And the trick is, as I said earlier on in the video, is just keeping everything nice and slow, controlled. Keep your flies fishing as long as possible, whilst keeping in contact with them, and being patient. You know, like a lot of people, like myself, probably enjoy the casting more than anything, and casting is only a method just to get your flies out into the water. But once they're in the water, you've got a chance. So the longer you can keep them in there fishing, the better. I did expect to come over those seagulls, and it takes pretty quickly. It's not happened so far. So hopefully it does work for us. Right, we'll see if this is going to be the last drift. Don't know if it's going to be. Run out of battery as well on the GoPro. We'll see how long it lasts. Will need to be my last drift anyway. Perfect. Right where I want to be. we get another couple of fish in the top dropper, we'll maybe stick on a booby on the point, just hold those flies up a little bit. At this moment in time we've had two in the point, one in the top dropper, drop one either on the point or the top dropper. Not sure what one it was that snapped us. We give this another 10 or 15 minutes, the straight line buzzers. I'm going to put a fab or a booby on the point, just to see if that brings some fish into the cast. Sometimes you need a wee bit of colour just to attract them in. And it just changed onto washing line setup. So on the point, got a candy booby, which I've tied, find that in the videos. Still sticking with 2 buzzers, but I've changed the crisp packet to a natural quill buzzer with yellow cheeks, just to see if that just a bit of colour might just pull some fish into the cast. I think they are on the buzzers. They're not hard on them, so certainly not a fish fest. As I said, just that wee bit of colour. And because I'm fishing a washing line setup, because I'm fishing a washing line setup, I'm going to cast a little bit further, because with that booby in the point, it's going to hold the flies up a little bit further. So if I want to fish them a bit deeper, then I'll need to throw a slightly longer line out, just to allow those flies just to dig in a little bit and get to a reasonable depth. If we stuck with this kind of short line, then the flies are going to be fishing very high up in the water, and unless the fish are there, I mean, they will come up for them, but if the fish are sitting at 6 feet and your flies are at 1 foot, there's a long way to travel to get up to your flies. So slightly longer cast, we just allow those flies just to sink a little bit deeper, more time in the water. Again, just keeping in touch with them. So no change to the retrieve, just nice and slow, just keeping in touch with them. A couple of pulls in between. So basically we're trying to fish those buzzers static in the water, as they would be naturally. When you're fishing the washing setup, you've got your fabby, your booby on the point, and when you cast it out, as soon as your flies are on the water, what you want to do is you want to give them a couple of 2, 3, 4 long pulls. You're actually trying to get those flies to pop on the surface. I call it ringing the dinner bell. Basically what you're doing, any fish that are in the vicinity, that lateral line that goes along the trout's side, they'll feel that commotion in the water, whether they think it's a fry or something, but it'll attract the fish into your cast. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll come up and actually take the booby of the fab straight off the top, or they'll come in behind it and you'll start to see the bow wave after your flies. There's two options: you either keep on pulling and hopefully they lock on, or you leave it static and you hope that just that stopping the movement, the fish will come in to inspect it and take it. And if they don't take that, hopefully they come in and have a look at your buzzers, and it's the more natural presentation of the buzzers that they decide to take. So it's almost giving them the best of both worlds, but as I said, if you're fishing the washing line, make sure that you're ringing the dinner bell, bringing any of those fish into your cast. We've got about an hour left before we need to go up the road for dinner, see the kids, so hopefully can I get another couple of fish for you. Back onto straight lining. Washing line didn't seem to really work. The fish are probably sitting a wee bit deeper. Right. Might be the last drift today. It's a cold wind. It's coming from the north, so only about 10 degrees, 9-10 degrees, which is not ideal buzzer fishing weather, but a few fish to be had. Maybe not the volume of fish that we were hoping for, but we've only been out fishing for an hour and a half, so probably call it a day in about half an hour up the road. Hopefully get another fish or two. Just had a pull just a second ago there. Didn't connect with it. Another take that. Okay, just rattles on the line, not committing to it. It's a good sign though. Right in the ring. That fish was right on the hang, which is, I said to you earlier on in the video, it's, I mean, well, it's actually a foot off of the boat in front of us, so fishing the hang is absolutely the way you want to be doing it. We've come over a few fish there. We might go back now and do that. We'll give it another 20 yards and see. It was 4 or 5 fish that either had a go, 3 of them landed. Not the most positive takes, but so we're getting fish on all 3 flies now, which is great. Done a good afternoon. As I said, that's since fishing all 3 flies on this cast. So the olive buzzer on the top, the red cheeks, natural quill buzzers taking a couple of fish on this drift, the yellow cheeks, and that fish was in the grey boy on the point. So that would tell me that the fish are well spread out through the columns. We seem to have found a few fish just in front of the island, which is great. We'll just give this drift just to the edge of this island. We'll probably turn back, give that drift another go. There's quite a few fish in there. Unless we continue to get some fish on this drift. Oh, there's another fish there. Just a wee bit too quick on it. You start to catch more fish on the buzzers. When you find the fish and you know what they're taking, you get into a bit of a rhythm, which is important when you're fishing, is to find a rhythm that's working for you. Your confidence levels go up, and you just start to feel that you're fishing the right flies, you've got the right line on, you're in the right bit of water, and you get the depth right. Your confidence goes up in every cast. You feel as if there's a good chance that you're going to get a full lot of fish to the net. So a lot about fishing is what's in your head and understanding the water, persevering, trying new methods. So I think what we'll do is we'll get back round and see if we can get back over those fish again. Back in the same drift. So just come into the area that we got the last fish in. Hopefully those fish are still there. Wind's changed round just a little bit. Hopefully that's not going to change the completely ruin the drift. Soon find out. Just keep those buzzers fishing nice and static all the way to the boat. Wind's actually changed round in the last few minutes, so we're not quite going down the drift the same way as we were 10 minutes ago, but we'll see. I'm expecting fish anywhere, anytime now. a wee pool there. Didn't come to anything. The last time we came on this drift as well, exactly the same thing happened. Until we get further down the drift, the fish didn't really commit. There's a proper buzzer take there. It's a blue as well, so no surprise. Definitely feels like Harelaw is starting to come alive. Fish are definitely on the buzzers now. You can see we get a fish every 5 or 10 minutes at the most. Natural quill buzzers starting to outfish the others now. And that middle dropper. Top dropper's not really taking any fish. It's had one on it. If it was fishing for a wee bit longer, I'd maybe change the top dropper onto another natural quill. Maybe a quill with orange cheeks or white cheeks. But for the time being we'll leave it as it is. This is one of these days that you don't want to go home, just want to keep on doing another drift. So you get yourself divorced. My wife isn't going to watch this, so the chances of her saying anything about that is probably slim to none. Off to Rutland in a couple of weeks. Proper buzzer fishing. So Rutland and so we're away for the May weekend. So Friday, travel down the Thursday night from Glasgow. Rutland on the Friday, which we didn't fish last year. We're fishing it this year just for a day. We're down in Ravenstop. Last year on the first day, and then 3 days on Gratham. which I cannot wait for. So hopefully it's as good as last year. I can't tell you how many fish that we caught because I don't think it would go down well with Facebook, but we caught a lot of fish. And we weren't anchored either, all drifting, all buzzer fishing. It was absolutely sensational, so hopefully more of that this year. But for the time being, Harelaw is fishing its nuts off. About another 20 yards and we should just be onto the drift that produced the last fish for us, so hopefully they're still there and they're still wanting the buzzers. Don't see why not. Might be a brown trout actually. A rainbow. Another one in the net. Check the tail on that one, that's a proper fish. Superb. Harelaw. If he's a fishing Harelaw this weekend, he's in for a treat, I'll tell you that much. I've just been out for a couple of hours. That's us on about 9 or 10. And every cast feels as if there's a good chance of getting a fish, which is a great feeling because we've had some pretty shitty weather so far this year and it's not really kicked off, certainly not for Harelaw anyway, but if this is a sign of things to come then long may it continue. Might even ask the wife if I can fish tomorrow. That's how good it is. Probably say no right enough, but you can always ask. Again, not quite on the drift that we're on. The wind's just kind of changing direction. One minute it's coming northeast, the next minute it's coming northwest. And it's just not really keeping us on the drift that I want to be on, but I'm getting fish. That was a wee knock just when I brought the flies up on the hang there. Didn't connect with the fish, but I felt it just as it was coming up. Just a wee rattle. I think with the settled weather that's coming in over the next couple of days, I think the fishing is just going to become better and better and better. I expect that if you're on the water tomorrow, Saturday, there should be some very good fishing to be had. Right, I'll see if this is going to be the last drift. going to be. Running out of battery as well on the GoPro. We'll see how long it lasts. Will need to be my last drift anyway. Perfect. Right where I want to be.